everybody. This is Richie from the Metal Cell podcast. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to our main sponsors, Rising Suns, the award-winning brewery in Cork. If you're down in the vicinity, lads, please call in and have a few beers with some fellow metalers in the Rising Sun. It's easy enough to find as well as in the city's centre. So I'm delighted to welcome Gama Bomb to the show. I've got Joe, I've got Philly, and I've John. Thanks a million for taking the time to join me, lads.
Hey, Richie. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Joe, for twisting their arms. Really, that creative harp is on its way to you, man. I appreciate that. Dragging them.
I'm going to send it somewhere else.
What?
And post it on. It'll be like a bad luck letter that if you don't post it on to somebody else, you end up
probably
doomed
customs will
harp.
fucking nail me for it as well. But sure, look, that's a different story. Lads, you're here to promote Bats. It's what? Jesus, how many albums have you out now? Is it number fucking
8?
Number 8.
Eight albums. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Well, it's really a sign of things to come, you know, because like you were fairly prolific when you look at Sea Savage, and there's not much of a what is it, 3 years, is it roughly?
Yeah, well, we finished it within like 2 years of Sea Savage coming out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you were on the show on the 19th of June 2020. I had to look that up, and that was just a shit fest, really, because we were just coming out of the lockdown, and it was just fucking horrible times, wasn't it, lads?
Yeah, it was weird. Although I don't think times have stopped being weird since. So,
do you think?
In different ways.
We're still actually getting the knock on, because I think part of the reason why this album's coming out now instead of 6 months ago is because there's still like a huge delay in getting vinyl pressed and all that sort of stuff, and it's all just related to all the lockdown stuff.
Yeah, the room has definitely been an issue in this. So like we had this album ready at the start of this year, pretty much. Well, we could have had it ready at the start of this year.
Right, okay.
But yeah, vinyl delays are totally insane.
So that's what more or less you had to have everything in line or lined up. Mm.
6 months.
I was just looking at your merch on Bandcamp, like everything is fucking big red, sold out. So
yeah, like pre-orders is a tricky one, you know. Bandcamp tends to be like different bands do it different ways, but Bandcamp is almost the preserve of our label mostly, apart from some of the digital music on it. It's kind of where Prosthetic do theirs. So if there's red stickers on it saying sold out, that's good news because it means the pre-orders are happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, like merch is a big thing for us, you know. Like,
of course,
we have that ridiculous logo and the monster and everything, so we try to play the merch game.
Shake it, baby, shake it.
Yeah, so look, I want to congratulate you on Bats. Joe, thanks for sending that on to me, man. Where I listened to it, Philly, I'm not sure, or John, do you know, it was down in the remote just loneliness of Castle Gregory in Kerry. So what my ritual was every night we just went on the piss, and the car was inevitably left at this pub, which was probably 4 or 5 miles of a beach walk. So every morning I used to get up, everybody was asleep, and I just throw on the headphones and throw on Bats and make my way through the beach, listening to this fucking, it's an incredible album, like, lads. It's absolutely...
You know, Richie, that's probably the most like romantic environment anyone has ever listened to our music in ever.
Of course it is, and it'll always be associated with it, Philly.
Normally people listen to our albums when they're having a very difficult poo, and they're like, I'll just stick one on for half an hour here and get this done, you know, get the sweats. I'm glad you have enjoyed it. I haven't listened to it since we finished it now. I think I've listened to it a few times. Okay. And kind of it goes back in the box, you know.
Yeah, they were looking at this solitary dude fucking moshing along the fucking beach. Like, I mean, you know, it's just perfect.
Yeah.
And I was messaging you regularly, Joe, about it, wasn't I? Just saying, fucking hell, I can't believe how good this is. Like, it's definitely standing on the shoulders of Sea Savage, and I just want to throw that actually now that I bring up Sea Savage, and maybe you can all give me one song each of which song do you think from Sea Savage fits in to this album, Bats?
I think Shere Khan.
Shere Khan, yeah, definitely, 100%. Anything else?
Oh,
yeah.
John?
I would say Judo Killer. The reason because, I don't know. It's just because we had this kind of a guest on Judo Killer, you know, that Japanese lady, and we have kind of on the new album, we have little kind of quirks like that. So that's
okay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like slightly like casting the net around. I think
You
like
know?
Shere Khan, because Shere Khan's a bit slower and it's kind of groovy.
Yeah,
And
definitely. 100%. Yeah.
songs, I
Yeah, there's
think
definitely a
that's
bit more. There's a bit more songs like Shere Khan on this album, but I don't know if there's anything really kind of as slow as it, or maybe there is. I would probably say like Gone Haywire, just because I really like that song, and it was the last song written for the last album, so it felt like the most natural. Right, this is the first song
Okay.
of these
a
sessions.
bit of a neglected stepchild, that tune, you know.
Yeah. I went
Um,
with Ready Steady Goat.
yeah, I think Ready Steady Goat's in the same kind of vein as like
Mm,
even stuff like Dream Stealer has a wee bit of that in it. And
yeah.
yeah, like yeah, it's funny. It's when James Stewart, who recorded the drums, when he finished the drums, he was like he was really happy with it, and you know he sent us a message and he said you're not a thrash band anymore. You're just playing this weird metal. I was like, okay, well, take it as a compliment, you know. But I think that is true. The album is a mix of thrash and metal, I guess. You know, it's a few
Bats, is
different.
it?
Yeah, I think it's kind of half thrash tunes and half something else.
Well, yeah. I mean, you went out on record and saying that it was your weirdest one yet, Philly.
Yeah.
Maybe you could elaborate on that.
Well, I suppose by weird, I was trying to find a word to sum up the kind of freewheeling buzz that we had when we made it. So in
Okay.
the past, we've always taken quite a bit of pride and care in policing each other's ideas for the records to make sure that we're consistent.
Right.
And you know that was definitely a role that Paul, our drummer, played in the band. And with Paul's departure, and I think with C Savage, I don't know how to describe it. The songwriting got a bit more brave. It was more representative. There were more songs that were written by all the members,
Yep, definitely.
and there was a bit less fear. Like, oh, if you bring a riff like Shere Khan to the table, it can make it to the album. And then
Yes.
playing slower tunes and groovy tunes and stuff live, people really enjoyed those. So it meant that the feedback was good. If we'd have made it and people were like, no, only fast stuff, never do this again, you would have known all about it. So kind of the fact that it felt healthy and then it went down really well, we come into this record with all that positive baggage. You know, we had all that muscle built up. So I think there was a lot more everyone throwing songs in. And whenever we were demoing songs and stuff, there was just a bit more awareness that like we were going to do more stuff. That's a very stupid sentence. There was more awareness that we could push the boat out more. And while it's still definitely a metal record and it's still very fast, a lot of it, there's loads of stuff on that we never would have done before.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
there's a big outro with the saxophone solo. There's a hip hop sequence with a rapper on it. There's, you know,
There's ska in there as well. Disguise, but there is ska.
yeah, there definitely is like wee bits of stuff like that, and there's like disco beats, and some of the
Yeah.
Shere Khan has a disco beat in it from the last album, and you know some of the tunes have that, and yeah, like it covers a really broad spectrum, and like songs that we didn't use for it. There's one that is a choir that we didn't use for the album, and you know there's other slower groovy songs and other really fast. So like we were very very productive. I think in total, lads, we did like 30 pieces of music, didn't we?
Wow.
More actually.
And like
Really?
that's
thing with them
That's a
with
serious
doing
body.
like C Savage, it was definitely a lot more kind of everybody's gonna pitch in and write the songs, you know. And because we wrote all that and recorded in the lockdown, I think there was actually more lockdown after the album came out, wasn't there? Because I seem to remember that the songwriting for this one was really, really easy because everyone had an idea of saying, right, if you submit 5 songs and I submit 5 songs and yada yada.
3.
But
Okay.
yeah, and like we ended up, we've got probably, I would say, at least half of the next album kind of
At least have locked
ready,
locked
you
in.
know.
Wow.
So look, it'll definitely not
Um,
take 2 years for the next record, I don't think.
Yeah, well, we've asked the label already, and they're saying early 2025, so we'll have to make it next
Are
year.
they saying
But
calm down, calm down?
just depends if people like this one. You see, if people are all like, "This Gama Bomb, this embarrassing disaster," the Scottish album, or yeah. So like, when I'm saying it's weird, I suppose like I mean that in a positive way. I'm not like here comes Risk, here comes Sound of White Noise. We were very confident, we were very free in how we did it, and we were enjoying pushing the boat out. A song like Egyptron.
Yeah, but I think by saying pushing the boat out, what it really is though is pushing the boat out to, like, whenever you say, rap music or, you know, disco beats and stuff, it's all stuff that's extremely applicable to the 80s vibe that we go for. So
Totally.
it, like, I wouldn't describe anything that we've done on this as sounding like some sort of departure from the 80s. Like, it's
No, it's
whenever
definitely.
there's rap, it's 80s rap, it's 80s
Yeah.
sax, it's 80s whatever, you know.
Yeah, the meat is still totally the DNA is exactly the same. I always say, like, you know, when we do tunes and do albums, we're always saying to each other, "Oh, this one's different, man. This is it. This is different." And then, you know, when it's released, people are basically looking at a row of penguins and trying to pick which one's sexy. Like, I guess that's the sexy penguin, that one. Whereas we're like, this one, that's whoa.
You used to say that all the time, to say, yeah, we could just, like, you know, bring out the same album again with a different cover and see how many people twigged, like, you know, 'cause there's a load of them now, like, you know.
Yeah,
Maybe could I phrase it to you this way then, lads? Is it just that you're opening up to more of your favorite influences and they're actually coming through the music instead of being stymied?
I think so.
Previous few
Yeah,
releases.
I think one of the things that we always prided ourselves on was consistency, and I think consistency is a lost art in heavy music. But we probably were holding ourselves back to some extent. I think we enjoyed putting this music together a lot more, like doing it together.
You can hear it on the songs.
Yeah, like there were writing sessions where we would go to Domo's house and, you know, get high and write tunes, and that's where Bats in Your Head came from. And it was like being teenagers, but teenagers who can actually play and write. So it was like very free and easy. You put a demo together, the demo was hilarious, it was a ridiculous song, and you're like, that's going on the album. And then we'll put a sax solo on it, and it's wicked. So, like, it felt much more like play, like having fun, having the crack. And I think no matter what, that's good. You know, even if a section of people don't like that.
But once it's not lost from the transition from the demos to the actual album, that's where sometimes the fun gets lost.
That does happen, man.
That does happen. It does happen.
The song you're wearing the t-shirt of, Ready Steady Goat, I thought that the original demo had a totally different kind of feel, and it felt way more like, oh, this is great. And I don't know, that just happens. Like, that's happened. What was that song? Evil Eye, Wrecking Ball, Raging Skies. Yeah, and like the thing with Raging Skies, the demo was so good, wasn't it?
It's unbelievable. So that was on the album Untouchable Glory, and we got together and spent like a week at Joe's house writing and demoing for that, which was like our first proper weekend demo, you know. Full record, we were demoing it together in a room, and Raging Skies like wrote the lyrics in like 2 minutes, and the riffs were there, and like it just popped out like a greased olive, you know. And the demo was amazing. It sounded like Agent Stale, and we were so excited about it. And when we recorded it, just somehow just the lightning went out. Maybe just being clinical and producing it in the studio, or maybe it was what Scott brought to it, or maybe we just second guessed ourselves. But yeah, like, nobody talks about that song really, but we enjoyed it. Like, we enjoyed it at the time. I'm glad it exists. But the demo was fucking killer. I must take it out somewhere.
Yeah, John, what about the guitar process with yourself and Domo? I know Domo is in London, isn't he? Is it in
London?
Yeah, so was there... Oh, you're in London, is it? Okay. So what's the kind of... Were you just in that mode of working remotely, and did that happen with this album as well in relation to sharing ideas and stuff? Or were you able to get back and forth for jam sessions or what?
No, we've been kind of doing this kind of sending and receiving stuff, like ideas, for the last like probably 10 years. We've been doing it way ahead of everyone else, really.
Okay.
So even during the lockdown, that's how we were able to write and record the album. We all did it in my place, and wasn't a problem. So sharing ideas is more important than like being in a rehearsal room. The idea of being in a rehearsal room can be just like absolute pain. People want to just leave ASAP. Like, okay, an hour's done. Can we go now? So I think you share better ideas, and the ideas come across much better if you just record it. I know that old school vibe where people will say, "Oh, you get better ideas in the rehearsal room," but
I think a mix of all of them is the answer, though, because if you like, when we get together, as many of us as possible, and write something, it always turns out good, you know. But
generally,
generally turns out good.
We did do collaborative online. We had this kind of software. I can't remember what it is.
VST.
something, and we did Rusted Gold with that. We kind of got the bones of Rusted Gold. We kind of did it all together, and we were able to I was able to like record my guitar, and it was like in real time. And I went to like Domo's Pro Tools, what have you.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's how we recorded the whole album. Really, I recorded all the vocals remotely using this. It's called VST Connect.
Okay.
It's like this, you know. It's you look at the computer, you've got a screen. The other person is live on their end. You can hear the audio live with no latency. They can mix and get the files, you know, get clean files, all this tech stuff that I don't understand. But yeah, that's how we did lots of the guitar and all the singing and everything. And I think like with JR and Domo, they're both quite clinical, you know, or well, JR particularly is like everything is very carefully written and put together separately. I don't know if I've ever seen them really be like, I've got a crazy idea in the room. They're both like hyping away like a nerd, writing this secretly somewhere, and you know, wheel it out like a giant wooden rabbit, and assault the tune with it, like, you know. So that, like, I've never heard JR or Domo go, oh, I have a bit of an idea. They only ever go, here's a completely finished piece of lead guitar, and
Domo does that frequently with songs as well, where like he'll just turn up with the set of the best lyrics of all time and like a song to go along with them, and you're like, great, well, that was the most painless writing session ever, like, you know.
Yeah, Domo's like, it's a pleasure to sing Domo songs because he's so meticulous. His lyrics are always very funny, very well written. He chooses excellent words that sound good when you sing them, you know, the syllables in them, the sounds in them, and like the mouth noises in them. He makes them really tight to the rhythm, so you don't have to stand around wondering how it'll go. You know, you just get stuck in and you just sing the whole freaking thing. Whereas, like, say with like JR, will write the whole tune, but he won't come to you really with lyrics. And then Joe is a full spectrum of completely finished showroom condition song, right through to Bomb Crater with a shoe in it, and he's like, "There's the tune," like, and you're like, "This makes no sense." So like, you get a bit of Joe gives you a bit of everything. Yeah. You'll get like one amazing riff, and you're like, "That's an amazing riff," and you're like, "But there's nothing else," and then he'll come back with a full tune, you know. Yeah. Whereas Domo's got the filter where he won't show you anything that's not totally done. He also doesn't write spare riffs, which is really weird. Like, he doesn't write tunes where he's like, oh, there's a riff at the end. He just goes, what's the next one? Yeah. What's the next one? And the song's over. So okay.
So look, we'll play the album. We'll go track by track. The first one, the prologue, Under the Pyramids, great introduction to and it sets the tone to the album as well, like that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a journey as well for the listener. So we'll just briefly touch on that. Whose idea was to come up with the Under the Pyramids?
I think the intro kept getting longer and longer and longer. Okay. So it did, until there was this whole bit at the start, and we're like, yeah, well, obviously because it's Egypty, we need windy sounds at the start, and then that was like, actually, let's add this whole entire bit. And then it got to the point where like, this bit is so long that if it isn't a separate track, no one is ever going to play this. They're just going to skip it. Like, you know?
Yeah, and like we were like, Ingatron's like a 6-minute long song, and it's got a 1-minute long intro. Yes, yeah. And the label were like, you know that you can't get on a playlist if your song has a 1-minute long intro that's full of wind and robot noises. So we were like, okay, well, what if we chop on the vinyl? It actually goes seamlessly, and I think it does seamlessly on the vinyl. But everywhere else, it's a separate track. And Under the Pyramids is a story by H.P. Lovecraft and Harry Houdini, isn't that right, Joe?
Yep.
Okay. And it's about Harry Houdini is the main character in it. And it was like a promotional, it was like a marketing item for Harry Houdini, teaming up with a famous pulp author to do this story. So Joe threw that title on it, and it's good fun. The first time I listened to it, I really laughed because it has so many different sound effects in a row, you know. And it reminds me of like Bad News, you know, Warriors of Genghis Khan.
Yeah, totally, absolutely, yes, indeed.
Totally loaded with sound effects, and you know, we've always enjoyed that tune and laughing at the sound effects. So I guess this is our little bit of that.
Okay, so we'll go straight into the second track, which is Egyptian, and this is featuring an Egyptian lover as well. So we'll just play a clip. This is what part did I choose? I can't even remember it yet. All right, start of it. like the first thing is obvious for me is how huge the album and the production is in this fucking album. It's fantastic. So massive shout out to Domo.
Yeah, he did a fantastic
My
job.
God.
Yeah, that's his detail. He's very, very rigorous. He's very detailed, like,
Yeah.
and it pays off. It really does.
It's huge. And then, straight away, just with the kind of galloping bass and the drums, you're into Iron Maiden Power Slave straight away.
Yeah,
And it's perfect. It's just like, it's literally just gives you this, right, I'm relaxed. There's nothing going to fuck me over here. I'm just going to go along.
I don't know if most people would find this music relaxing.
Yeah, well, there you go. A lot of trash fans would anyway.
That's why we're here. Yeah, so like I love that it's an Iron Maiden type tune. I think it's a good statement of intent for the album.
Yes.
It's not a heads down thrash tune. What I like about it as well, well, I like how rangy and different it is. It has a lot of different stuff going for it. The singing almost all the way through. There's harmonies and backing vocals and double tracking, and it's a much more the whole album is much more sung than any of the other albums is.
Yeah,
there's tons and tons of backing vocals and harmonies and all this stuff all over it. So it was a lot of work to get this song recorded. A lot of the singing is right at the top of my register as well. That bridge goes all the way right up to the top of what you would call my chest voice before you go, right there.
Okay.
So definitely, like, I'm very proud of it as a tune. The main thing I love about it is the Egyptian Lover is on it.
Of course.
And I've already done some interviews about it. No offense. And a few people have been like, "Oh, I don't know who Egyptian Lover is," and it's like, that doesn't matter. You're going to go find out about him now because he's a legend. He's one of the fathers of hip hop and electro music. So, J.R. and Joe, what are your thoughts on this?
I like the uniqueness of it. I love that it's like, I think it's our longest song, and it's got a lot of like, it's still thrash, like you just heard the speed there, but like the middle part is really cool. And it's something that like thrash bands that are around for 20 years would never do, but we've done it.
Yeah.
Bands kind of like, been around for, if you even think of like, say, bands when like, say, I don't know, Sodom or Destruction or Creator, when they were around for like 20 years, they would never really take that many chances. Well, definitely like Destruction, for example, like they would just kind of just stick with a template. But I like that we kind of just.
I think around. Destruction actually in the early days did, with what's it called, the Pink Panther team.
In the Mood and all that as well.
Yeah, they did at the start initially, but then they got all serious, honestly. But there was that sense of fun about Destruction at the start with Mad Butcher and stuff. That was fucking great crack.
It definitely felt for this tune though, because we were going in such a maideny direction. I've been listening to loads of Visigoth and some bands like that who are kind of trying to do modern interpretations of that kind of Power Slave sound. But because like we got to the point where we're like, right, this song's about Egypt, and me and Philly had been going on about this song called "Come to the Casbah," which is like a ridiculous 1950s Egypt-y type song. So anyway, eventually, I can't remember why I ended up saying that should be the backing for the guitar solo, and then I record that and put it into the demo, and then because it had all this maideny stuff and this weird Casbah bit in the middle, I was like, right, the solo section should be insanely fast and extremely Gama Bomby. And then I think, was it you, Philly, who said, here, well, we'll just send this to Egyptian Lover for the crack and see what he says?
Like, I didn't know Egypt as he's known. I didn't know him then. But I'm a fan. My wife introduced me to his music. A lot of her friends are into kind of electro and all that kind of cool guy music. And we had listened to him on tour for quite a few years. Paul, our drummer, was a big fan as well, and we're always listening to that kind of stuff as a bit of a palate cleanser in the van. So I followed him on Instagram, of course, and when we just had this middle riff, it made sense. So I sent him a DM. I literally just said, "Hey, we're this band. We're big fans of yours. We have this song. It's called Egyptron. I can't believe you don't have a song called Egyptron. You've been doing this for 40 years." And I was like, do you want to be on it? And he just, and Egypt's real, like, he's a real laconic cat, he's real, like, laid back. He just replied, "Sounds good." And I was like, really? Okay, cool. And then I sent him the demo and he replied, "Gonna be volcanic."
But it felt way more kind of like natural. See, doing something with someone like him where it was like, this is this would be our interpretation of like, you know, change in genres or melding it. I think if we had done it with like someone like Carpenter, Blunt, or Perturbator and stuff, it would have came across as a lot more kind of insincere. Whereas this is just this is 80s meets 80s, really, isn't it? Like,
but I love the way I'm presuming he wrote his own lyrics, but I love the way he married into that with, you know, you have their mummified in circuitry, pyramids of light, 10,000 years of memory, soon to reignite, Ram is seized, the powerhead, and then he puts in programs from my circuitry, my frequency, freaky as can be, rhythm rock ruler, I'm ancient heat, from the Nile booming these ferocious beats.
Ferocious beats.
It's class, like.
Yeah, I know, he's amazing.
Like, that means that he actually fucking gave it proper listen to and soaked it in, like the vibe, you know, and respect.
He got the fucking assignment, man. Yeah, and
yeah,
you know, because we like I talked to him about all that. I was like, look, the song's about a big robot, whatever. It's a bit more of a heavy metal kind of thing. The big robot's destroying all these armies, whatever. I was like, but I'm sure we both agree you should be the Egyptron, and the Egyptron is the Egyptian lover. So like, go ahead, be the Egyptian lover. Which is, and like, if you listen to any of his other tunes, you know, like, you know, I want a freaky, kinky nation with a total female population. I can handle that situation. I don't care about my reputation. You know, like that's his wheelhouse is being a sexy Egyptian guy.
Yeah.
So I actually can't believe we're sitting here talking about this. I can't believe this has actually happened. But yeah.
It was bound to come up at some stage.
Yeah.
And Gavin Kearns then on saxophone.
Beautiful. Yeah. Gavin Kearns on sax. You know, we wanted to keep him like a Yoda and keep him secret until people heard the record. But yes, the album ends with a blazing sax solo. Gav Kearns is an old friend of mine. Yeah, no, we did a bit of feeling around. My mate Matthew Benson is what do you call him? George Ezra's brass man. Okay. And he did a bit of fishing around for us with, you know, different brass people. But in the end, it's actually kind of gas. I kept thinking to myself, should I shout Gav Kearns and ask him to do it? And I was like, oh, he might say no, and then be really
well, it's like, because he does the bit in Egyptron as well. The bit that's supposed to sound like an Egyptian flute, isn't it? Yeah, clarinet.
Yeah, he does. It's like clarinet. But so Domo was like, I'm thinking to myself, I'll shout Gav, no, I won't, because he might say no, and then it'll be awkward. And then Domo was like, I found a guy who's going to do the sax. He's coming to mine next week. And then he was like, oh, the sax is all done. He's a great lad. And he was like, and I was like, oh, cool, that's great. And he was all like, Philly, he knows you. And I was like, who? He's like, Gav Kearns. So turns out he's the
there you go. That's there's the Joe formation at work there.
Yeah.
And what bands does he play with, Gavin?
So he was with the Jimmy Cake, who were an Irish band.
Oh, Jesus, that's years ago.
Yeah, he was with him and John Dermody and stuff. Were in Vinny Cake. And he played, like, laterally he does loads of session, and he played with a wedding band, one of the biggest wedding bands, who were called Till Death Do Us Party. Him and Austin Pryor and those lads were in that. So like they were a fucking big wedding band. But yeah, that's what he does. And Gav's job, he teaches sax, and he also does this thing where he goes to functions and there's a DJ and he plays saxophone over hits. So like, he like over like hits at weddings. So no, like so he's a real pro, and he totally got the assignment. I think the sax solo is delightful. It like makes me laugh every time I hear it.
And so is the clarinet, actually.
And the clarinet's cool.
Right, on to track 3. Let's give it a blast. Living Dead in Hollywood.
Yeah, great solo.
Good.
I think it's my
Well
favorite
done.
solo of the album. Love it.
It's unbelievable. And look, I've said it before, John and Domo are one of the best twin attacks in thrash metal. Simple as that.
I think they're the
Fucking
best guitarists in metal, full stop. They're
yeah,
unreal.
it's a fucking joy to hear this. I actually thought that this possibly was going to be the single for you, but then I
Talk
was
about it.
thinking with Miami Cops as well. It's kind of super cops. I was thinking maybe that's probably why. But
Yeah,
look, it's a fucking great track. It's Gama Bomb. It's stamped all over. But there's again fun elements in it, especially that solo.
it's quite it's a very it's quite lighthearted as a tune, but it's a real banger. Like I
Yeah,
love the solo. I think when JR did the solo, there was not that there was pushback, but there was a bit of a like, right, you go do another bit. It's more like a normal solo. And I was just saying to the lads, no, like keep the crazy horses by the Osmonds vibe, you know,
Yep.
like the mad like siren. It's really spooky, like,
it's fucking
and
class.
obviously when you listen back to these tunes, especially if you're the person who's shouting all over them, you have to find things that you like about them. And that solo just like brings me a lot of joy. It's brilliant. It's totally unexpected. I don't think people would see that solo coming. And then it does Hall of the Mountain King, which is just so
Yeah. Yeah, it's class. Absolutely. The
Yeah,
lyrics are,
what do you say about that solo?
Again?
What do you say about that solo, Jar? Where were you coming from with it?
I don't know when I did because I was going with by the song title "Living Dead," so I wanted something like a siren, like and I just kind of harmonized it like 4 times.
Cool.
And then I did the Hall of Mountain King at the end, just because I don't know. I
because
ran
you
out of
could.
ideas, like, okay, I'll just do this.
It's spooky. It's spooky.
Yeah.
It's probably the most thrash song on the album, actually. I
It
think.
probably is actually. Yeah, it's fucking up there anyway for beats per minute as well.
I
And
think we were just
James,
trying to make sure that the start of the album had a thrash tune as well, so that people weren't scared.
yeah, just to comfort them. Yeah, the
Really,
little soother, Philly, the
You've
soother.
already listened to a soundscape and a hip hop breakdown. I think it's time for it's time for a thrasher to cheer you up, And
And
it's about Death Becomes Her, which is fun.
and right through it as well. Like the whole fucking album is just littered with James Stewart's fucking showmanship on the drums. It's fucking insane. Like,
He's a drummer.
you
Yeah.
know, brilliant. I just love the lyrics here. Mansion windows full of flame, getting old but look the same. Turn my head right around the back. Streep, as
In
in
the
Merle
streets,
on the streets, and
Goldie.
Goldie in the sack.
That's what you want, man, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh, good.
And
It's
is Joe singing that? Or you?
Yep.
Yep.
On the streets, Goldie in the sack. That's it. Yeah. So it's about Death Becomes Her. And like
That was definitely a weird thing because I remember pushing for so long. It's like, I haven't had a zombie song in years, lads. It's clearly well over time. And it's like, great, okay, so another zombie song. It'll probably be about something good, like, where I was like, yeah, let's write a song about Serpent in the Rainbow. And Philly's like, what about Death Becomes Her? It's a zombie movie, isn't it?
And I think I watched it. I like growing up, I loved Death Becomes Her. Like when I was a kid, I absolutely loved it because it's quite camp, like myself. But then I watched it a couple of years ago. There, I rewatched it on the telly, and at the end, at Bruce Willis's funeral, like in the far future. Spoiler alert: they're still alive at the end of the film. And the pastor who's giving the eulogy goes, and he loved to thrill us with his tall tales of the living dead in Beverly Hills. And I was like, that's a song.
Fuck.
So I think I had the title floating around for Sea Savage, didn't use it. We had lots of different lyrics ideas, like quite serious political ideas and stuff, but I couldn't really get everybody's buy-in on them, and I sort of didn't know what my point was. And then it was like, right, well, what else have we got? And we kind of got down to the wire with it. And when we got down to the wire, I just opened an old Google folder and went, there's lyrics. And when we read them, it made perfect sense over the song, and we got it recorded in one go. I think it took 70 minutes to record the vocals for the whole song.
Jesus.
Right. Which is very, very quick. Towards the end of recording, things are working very fast like that anyway. So yeah, we managed to nail it in like an hour and a half. So yeah, it's good.
It is. Good. It's fucking great, and it's
not as good. It's good enough.
It's perfect, as you said yourself, for the third song. Just reassures everybody the boys certainly haven't lost the plot. Okay, this one, number 4, Rusted Gold. It's one of my favorites, and it just doesn't make sense to me why, but it fucking is. So we'll talk our way through it, and I'll give it a spin first. Yeah, okay.
Still rising and shining like rusted gold.
Who wants to take this? Joe? As he lights his spliff.
Well, you know, this, like, I guess the song really comes. John and Domo's guitar solo parts and stuff are so fantastic. They really, really are great. But it's one of those things that for ages, I remember growing up and seeing, like, your man from Sodom had a side band called Desperado or whatever, like, you know, and like you would frequently see like these metal bands when they got older doing Western theme songs. Like, what the fuck's that about? And then fast forward, obviously 20 years being in a band, and you're like, time for a Western song, I think, lads. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I love this. Like, I think Philly's lyrics and vocal performance are great. Like, it's different, but it's also very us. And like, if you contrast it to the the song before it and the song after it, which are pretty heads down, this one's also kind of bit different.
I like the slow kind of frontier Mexican kind of vibe off the tune. It's got this weird Texaco kind of vibe off it.
Who doesn't love a fucking cowboy that's over the age of 40? Like, I mean,
I think Irish people have a real soft spot for cowboys. I think the post-war period in Ireland was all about cowboy pictures, going to see cowboy pictures. You know, and I think
we'd all be massive fans of Treasure this year, Madre. That would have been something that like was a big influence on this one.
Yeah, and you know, the Searchers, and I remember as a kid, my mom and dad going on a date to the cinema to see Unforgiven. You know, like cowboy pictures are a big thing, and I think with, you know, that's very alive with Thin Lizzy. Like Thin Lizzy were those men who were growing up in the post-war period, and you know, they did a lot, like quite a bit, as Motorhead did as well, touching on sort of cowboy things. So I think this song with the solo, you know,
was that an homage to Thin Lizzy there, John, with the twin? Because I picked that up, that I thought it was. I'd like to think it is.
Domo, that's Domo's harmony, but we do it together live. But yeah, you can feel it has a kind of a cowboy kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's definitely a Lizzy thing. Domo, I think, well, sure, we're an Irish metal band, and the tune is a cowboy kind of tune. And, you know, I think Domo just immediately knew that you should reach for a Thin Lizzy solo. And it has, I don't know how to describe the music of it, but it has all the Thin Lizzy bits in it. And it also has like Irishy, like the solo also has sort of Irishy notes, which Domo has mentioned before. If he was here, he could talk about it a lot more than I can. But yeah, like, I really like it. We've played it live a few times now. We're playing it on the shows that we're doing at the minute.
Brilliant. That's
it goes
great
down
to hear.
well. Like people enjoy the gear change. I enjoy singing it live. It's a bit more of a crooner, you know. And it's just cool to have a Western song, you know.
I think that's it. Yeah, because like I'm a massive Thin Lizzy fan, and just as I said to you, it's one of my favorites, and I can't quite grasp what is it that just draws me to that song in particular more than anything else. And I think it's just where I was listening to it as well, the setting and everything. It was just fucking lovely.
And it's accessible, because the song is slightly slower, or it has slower sequences in it, and it has a big catchy chorus. I think it's quite easy. It's quite easy to latch onto,
Yeah. Okay. Right. In for a full-on headbang here with Materialize. Here we go. I could just take fucking segments out of every song just for solos, but no.
There are other good things about this record apart from the guitar.
I don't know what they are, but there are others.
Yeah. This song, Slow It Down, and you've a ska song. There you go. That's my.
That's true, actually.
Stupid word. I just love that fucking boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, it's true. It is.
It's like this. Yeah, but like it's just. And then when you're playing it, obviously, it's just like this insatiable fucking itch that you just have with this song. It's fucking great. It's another potential single for me, I thought. Who wants to take this?
Well, I can talk about the lyrics.
The lyrics. Yeah.
I got mad into reading about the spiritualist craze, right? Post World War One. Globally, spiritualism became a huge thing. Seances, table knocking, all these other amazing things like trumpet mediumship that we don't even hear about anymore, where people used to blow a fucking trumpet and pretend it was a ghost. So there were a lot of different things during this craze, and Ireland in the 1920s in particular went through a big craze for this. And I found it very interesting because between the War of Independence and the Civil War, which ended in 1924, was it 23, 24? So I think the picture of Ireland that we all have coming into the mid to late 1920s is a very conservative, very Catholic, quite impoverished, intellectually impoverished country. Whereas actually in the earlier part of the 1920s, before the Catholic Church got a big hold, it was a place with a lot of kind of intellectual freedom. It was like jazz artists in Dublin. There were writers like Joyce who were writing very confrontational, very shocking kind of stuff. And there were mediums, very, very successful Irish mediums. And there was a lot of out in D4, a lot of very high society kind of table rapping and seances and stuff.
Okay.
So I initially, when we were posting the album, I wrote up this whole idea that the album would be about that the whole album would be about Ireland in the 20s, seances that we were in this story, like Sea Savage, moving on from Sea Savage to the 1920s. And it's not that the idea didn't fly. I think we just kept moving, But one of the things that came out of that, we had 2 songs that come out of it. And one of them is kind of probably going to be on the next album. And it's called Necronomicon Automaton, which is a fantastic name for a song. And this Materialize. And, for all the brainy stuff I just talked, Materialize is just about a seance that goes evil. And, people all get eviled up by some evil. But I think it's a fascinating topical, And when I was writing lyrics for this one. I was listening to Affair of the Poisons by Hellripper loads.
Oh
And
wow, yeah.
well, I love Hellripper, and Bastard of Hades has that shrieking vocal thing in it. I am the goat, and I was like, fuck, it's so cool. James' voice is so cool. So I'm copying it. That's what the chorus is. It's just me.
Bit of a Bobby Blitz vibe as well, a little bit.
Yes, there is actually. Yeah.
When we did the demo, when we first started to record it, Domo was like, "You have to stop doing an American accent."
There's a bit of a
He's like, "Stop! You said like you're just being Bobby Blitz now." I was like, "Okay, stop." Right. Yeah,
the vocal phrasing reminds me of the Tales album a little bit. Na.
Yeah, I suppose it is similar.
What do you?
Domo does a cool solo, kind of as a kind of an oped kind of chord progression in the back. It's really kind of
it's actually got the start of Arabesque, doesn't it, by Claude Debussy? That is at the start of it.
It's proggy. It's probably the most proggiest kind of chord progression for a solo we've ever done.
Yeah.
When we first finished it, I wasn't mad keen on it going on the album, but I think the solo section in it gives it loads of merit. You know,
F sharp and B.
It's got some really fancy, spacey, and like the solo has some really cool stuff in it. It's like super evil and shreddy, but then there's a wee Hendrixy bit. He kind of does a rotation through different styles of solo as he does it, which is very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's a good tune. I love ghosts and spooky shit, so I'm glad there's a little spooky tune on the album about all that kind of stuff.
Cool, excellent stuff. Right, straight on to Mask of Anarchy. We'll give this a blast.
Rise like lights on a shake your chest to what I do. Never let them fall on you. Shake your chest to what I do. Never let them fall on you.
That has to make it onto the live set. Please send me.
Yeah, I think it should. For sure.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It's a fucking. This is a one there for the crowd all day long, like to sing back at you.
What's your take on it,
Joe? There's always a kind of like a bit of a detail every album we make these days, saying right, there has to be an out and out punk song on it, like, you know. So
yeah.
I think we'd been firing ideas around for a wee while, and like we just hadn't come up with any lyrics that were working. So there was 2 or 3 musical candidates for what was going to be the punk song on the album, and what me and Domo put together the riff side, the chorus riff, and wrote the song around that. But it was really Philly can probably tell you about this more. It was Luke Graham, our old guitar player, who's still very close with the band. He suggested the idea for the lyrics to. Was it you, Philly? Was it?
Yeah. I was sitting around, pottering around trying to think what we could do with that song, and didn't really have a strong idea for it. And Luke texted me and just went, "Hey, are you familiar?" Just out of the blue, he was like, "Are you familiar with Mask of Anarchy by Shelley? It would make a great song." And he sent me a link to it, and I read it, and I'd never read it before. I'd never even heard of it before. I hadn't read much of that romantic poetry, and I was like, "Yeah, this," and like the lines fit pretty much perfectly and stuff, and I think it has a really good message. It's about non-violent resistance, and it's a poem that's been used in loads of protest situations around the world. Like people were reading it out on statues in Tiananmen Square and all that kind of thing. So I think it has a really cool heritage to it. It's actually a poem that's really well embraced by anarchists and socialists as well. So I found it very interesting. So yeah, I was like, nice one, Luke. Let's do that.
Did you do your own take on it without directly quoting from it?
As much as possible, it's directly lifted. Now, some parts you'll see if you were to read it, it's a very long poem. We've lifted, like, say, a part that's 20 stanzas further down and brought it up. And a few times we've had to shorten words and stuff. I think Joe definitely, when he was doing his BBs, he was like, this line has to change. It was just too many words.
Even the clip I played there, what is freedom, you can tell that which slavery is too well for its own. Its very name has grown into an echo of your own. That's class.
Yeah, and like that's there you go. Percy by Shelley. That's him. So yeah, we wanted to keep it as faithful as possible. There's a bit of repetition, a bit of editing, but it's great.
I think he was one of these characters as well. He made his own wee boat out of bits and bobs that he found around the gaff and went sailing and was never seen again.
Are you serious? Did Shelley really?
Yeah, no. I think so.
No.
Didn't that? Because that happened to the guy from the Allman Brothers as well. He made a plane from bits and bobs that were sitting around the house, and that obviously crashed immediately, and he was killed.
Don't drink or do drugs while constructing fucking automobiles or stuff.
Hold on, I'm gonna look this up.
Come on, next song then, Jesus.
I have to look this up. I don't know how Percy Shelley died.
Okay, Philly can get back to us on that. John, what do you think? Is that probably a live song that she can successfully carry off?
No, we have to practice it first together, but yeah, we could pull it off.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
I think it's a fucking straight away. That's a crowd favorite, without a doubt. It's my two pence worth. Okay, next one is Don't Get Your Hair Cut.
Just to update you before, he drowned. He went on a boating trip and he and two friends drowned. I can't see any evidence that he made it out of bits and bobs from round the gaff.
Joe, I believe you. I don't care.
I'm near sure he did. And I seem to remember there was another boy around that. It was a poet who died in similar circumstance. And he had a cat whose funeral was more well attended than his funeral. And apparently it caused an uproar.
Yeah, apparently it was a custom built boat made in Genoa for him. He didn't make it out of bits around the gaff. But
fuck it sounds great. Huh?
It sounds fucking better. And you'd imagine what's lying around Percy's house: opium pipes, cravats, letters, none of those goblets of tincture. None of those things are good for a boat. None of them.
Hardly a canoe. But anyway, right. So the next song is Don't Get Your Hair Cut. Let's give it a blast. Grease those shiny shoes and slide on.
one of
Be
several.
Yourself. Fuck everybody else. Don't change for others. That's the way I look at that.
Well, that's a Nuri classic. Grease those shiny shoes and slide on. That's the thing. Like slide on is one of those. So it's verbatim. Nuriism.
Joe.
Well, this is John. Tell us about the Riffola.
I think you might be high, lads.
He's fucking looking so happy there. I says, Jesus, I better get him in there. And
he's just selling out,
this song. But like this is like these are some of John's best riffs. So
good.
Tell us about them.
Let's get in there to it, John.
The songs, I think it was around March 22, and I had to take a week off because I had too many holidays. I had to take a week off, otherwise I'd lose the holidays. And that's when I wrote all the songs, March 2022. And I
Right.
think Philly sent me a text that morning, goes, John, come on, commit something. I was like, okay. So I spent an hour and a half writing this. But it has I don't know, what could you say? I like the verse kind of riff. Kind of cool.
Right, Overkill.
Yeah, has a kind of Rust in Peace kind of vibe. Probably know that by now.
That's what I was going to say. You could certainly say Rust in Peace. So you could.
I
The
wanted to
song
write a riff
Poison
that
was
was
the
kind of
cure.
like that, kind of something that was sounded difficult, but it's not really that difficult.
But the solo as well, John, is incredibly George Lynchified, isn't it? Like it's quite
Yeah, that was like, I think we had to like do the solo really quick. I mean, that was done like April. Just there, like I think that was one of the last things we did. So it was all kind of like, it was one take. One take.
Yeah.
No, it was really cool. I like the way it kind of it's the tempos on this album are kind of like it's nice that there's kind of tempos up and down, but they're all still fast. We have lower tempos, but when we say lower, it's like 180, not
Yeah.
mid-paced bro metal. We still all our songs are still fast. Just when we say the tempos are lower, it's still fast. So, but it's still cool song. It would have good potential to be like kind of a compilation, like a video of just a compilation of people getting bad haircuts. Could definitely has potential to get like 50,000 views if we do it right.
It's one of those brilliant things, like where you're like, be yourself and don't listen to anybody, but also don't get your haircut. So like, don't listen to anybody apart from us, obviously, because some of us haven't got our haircut. Like,
Because we have.
I can't remember, Philly. Was it did you come up with it? Or I remember around then somebody turned around and said to me, better the electric chair than the barber's chair. And I was all like, class, there's an idea for a song in there. Like,
Yeah, well, I think we just liked it as a song title, and I just had this thing in my head. Hard and fast, built to last, long hair till I die. It just came in my head, and I was like, oh, that should be in the song. And then obviously, what we enjoy having long hair, so I think just don't get your hair cut. And then I wrote these lyrics around it about like, as you grow up, people, start, especially after COVID, start kind of drifting to the right or becoming more selfish or more conservative or a bit more anti-sound in their views. And it's about that. It's about like when people sort of drift from you, it's very easy to play softball and just okay those views, but that's how those views propagate. So it's about like, don't be afraid to call people out or cut people out. They are being mean to humanity. So that's where we got to with it. But the essential message of the song is don't sell out and become a dingus just because you have a savings account or a garden.
Yes. Now, all these songs so far, have we passed one of them that was the hardest song to nail down as a band, or is it to come? Would it be Egyptron?
I think for me, the hardest song was Rusted Gold. We did over 300 vocal takes to get it done.
Fuck. Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Jesus.
it was the first song. So first song is always going to be slower anyway, because you're just getting back into the groove of working together and recording and stuff. So we were getting it. A good bit of it was feeling out where it should go. Like, do we need a harmony here? What way should that be sung? What should the fast bit be done? I think there was even a wee bit of writing that needed to be done, as in like bridging lines and stuff. And that took loads of time. And then we moved on into tracking it, and there's loads of harmonies. There's almost every line in the song's a harmony. So, and then I remember when we got near the end, Domo was like, "There you go, that's 300 takes." And we were like, "Right."
Wow.
So that would be the hardest one.
Okay, cool.
What about you?
I don't know. I think sometimes it's just a little bit that like takes ages to get done because like there's probably like a little squeak or a little noise or trying to eliminate those parts are annoying. Some of Joe's songs are hard to get done. They might sound simple, but there's a little kind of, I don't know, there's a Saxony, one of the songs that kind of reminds me of Saxon a little bit. There's a Saxony bit, I always think. So I just remember it just took forever to get done properly, Besides, the way we play, like, we're playing standard tuning and stuff, and sometimes, sometimes it can be even harder because we use not as much gain in our amp settings, so you have to play like spot on. Otherwise, everything has to be clear. We can't just like, we don't muddy it up like with a ton of distortion and stuff. So
Yeah.
can't get away with
I'm
some
not even 100% sure what the hardest thing I had to do was. It was probably it was probably one of the later songs, like Bats in Your Hair and Secular Saw. Even though they're quite easy and stuff, the feel for them was like very different on the bass, and it required a lot of kind of different timings that I'm not used to.
Okay. Right. Let's get on. Time is pressing here. Dream Stealer.
Your hands are so cold. Dream stealer. A price on every soul. Dream stealer. You never set me free. Dream stealer. My. Get your dirty hands off of me.
Okay, Dream Stealer.
Free dance.
Cult song. Probably heard Ian Astbury there
Yeah,
doing the vocals.
Yeah. It's a bit of a cult. It's a bit of a cult tune, isn't it?
it is actually. Yes. Now you've mentioned it, I can't get away from it.
I love the cult.
We wouldn't be able to write something like that like 10 years ago because
No.
I don't like it.
Mightn't be able to write something like that 1 year from now either, so it mightn't.
Yeah, it's good. I like that it's like a hard rock tune. Like I know at the end it turns into like the outro is like a thrash tune, but the rest of it's like a hard rock. I think it's when I said the album's weird, I'm talking about this kind of thing. This, I have a soft spot for this song. I think the chorus is rad. And
Great
it's a weird
chorus.
song.
Yeah,
What's
great
that?
chorus.
Oh, it's a
Great chorus. Yeah, agree.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a catchy chorus, and it's lyrically, it's about all these like sort of. There's a lot of the metal industry is small at the top. It's very small. We're not at the top, but it's very small at the top, and there's a surprising number of people at every level in the business who are bastards, like people who in any other industry or walk of life would be outed and not accepted. And I mean, you're talking about everything from like far-right racists to sex pests to thieves to con men and women. And we've encountered so many of them over the years. Some of them have had an effect on us, some of them haven't, but we're always astonished by this. And we have this rule, which is don't work with, and I think that's what this song is about. It's about like, look at these people, they exist. We're not exactly naming names because we're going to want to get sued because these same people are rich, but like, they're in this industry and nobody does anything about it because everybody else is a dreamer and a true believer, and these dickheads are exploiting nearly everybody, So I don't know. It's just our chance to vent about that a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
Musically, the vibe for it actually was coming from. There's a band from South America called Atomica, and they're kind of similar band to Sepultura, but they really have a big impact outside there. But they have a song called Death Razor, and it has that kind of same vibe as Dr. Steen by Halloween.
Yes.
It's got that. I want to try and see is there some way to kind of get a mix between like Accept Metal Heart and the Death Razor thing. So that was the idea for that. And basically, whenever it came to chorus time, it was like, well, here, me and Philly love the Cult, and well, actually, I think everybody in the band loves the Cult, and it was just something that we'd wanted to try. So I thought, fuck it, give it a go. Yeah,
and like Chris, who plays live with us, loves the Cult. So I think it was also a bit of a nod for Chris too. Who's like, there you go, Chris, have some extra Cult. But I was, I was brought up listening to the Cult, and I've seen them loads of times, and
it's probably going to be the most divisive song on the record, though, in the sense that we're talking about it from the point of view of being all like, yeah, if you like Dr. Steen and the Cult and things like that, whereas there's probably a lot of people who are part of the Denim Jacket Brigade who would probably look at this as being a bit of a sellout, really, for us, like
maybe. Although I do feel like it's on an album that has a lot of red meat on it, so
Yes.
I don't think if the whole album sounded like this, I could understand it. People feel disadvantaged, but I guess the rest of the album throws a lot of stops to people who love speed metal, and also I don't care. So it's not.
I accidentally wrote 200 speed metal songs over the last 20 years. So
You know, if you want a speed metal tune, listen to every other song we've ever written. It's over there.
And that's what I mean. Like when I said that to you with like songs from Sea Savage that would fit on this album, I don't think Dream Stealer would necessarily fit on Sea Savage.
Yeah, I think this is the headroom. I think this is what's happening, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, and you know what? I welcome it. It's fucking great that you're able to do it at this stage of your career and have the fucking confidence to pull it off. And I think you have with swagger. Okay, let's move on to Speed Funeral. Never since JR has there been such a fucking rip through the metal community with the thought of Snowy dying. So
I tell you what, man, it was a very difficult week, you know, for everyone. Unlike most people who die, it only lasted a week. But yeah, it was great to see the support and the derision of the community, really. In equal measure. Great to see the confusion that followed it as well. Because he's now alive again on his vampire. But like half of everyone who sees a new post of them, then it goes, is he alive? And then like I actually quite enjoy that.
It was fucking fantastic. It really was a really clever way of getting a lot of people's attention. And,
it was definitely one of the most fun bereavements that I've experienced. Top 5 anyway.
Top five, yeah. Getting the crowd together for the video. You had fun, obviously. There's no doubting that. But how long did it take you to film that?
We did it all in one day, on location in one day at Joe's mum's house. And yeah, like the amazing thing about the video, I think it's our best video. I think it's great crack. It's really good. And we are all sort of practiced enough in how videos get made now that we were able to, you know, everybody brought loads of ideas to the table. Everybody like worked quite seriously at it. And also we had the support of really old mates, which was amazing. We've never done that massively before, but like a lot of our oldest, literally our teenage and childhood friends came and helped out with this. And brought the crowd. A lot of family in the video. Like there's family from me, family from Joe, loads of our mates and their families. And it was just, I was in a weird way, I was kind of really moved by it. It's like we had a big crowd of people. They all got really involved. A lot of people who don't normally do anything creative really took it and ran with it. And it kind of goes to show like normal people who aren't creative are dying to have a go at doing that. You know, it's like playing. Grown-ups want to play. They want to create stuff and have a laugh. And that was really cool. It was nice to do. The video, I think, is very funny. It was edited by our friend Kieran, who has spent the last 2 years making a documentary about us, which will hopefully come out next year.
Oh, wow. Brilliant.
Yeah, and like Kieran made quite a few videos with us. He made Bring Out the Monster and Sea Savage, Thunder Over London. So, yeah, so Kieran's editing, I think, is amazing. For nerds who like that kind of thing, he's an amazing editor. But yeah, it's great. It's great crack. What are your main memories of the video, Joe? There, you right, boy?
I don't even remember really. Like the whole thing with the video was we weren't we weren't allowed to drink any of this booze, so it was fake booze, like basically, right? Which is very, very annoying because you're sitting about there looking at all these cans of real booze in the fridge, being all like, I would much rather method act this sequence. Like, fast forward about a week and a half later, my ma is a desperate woman for making Irish coffees for people, like, and she makes lethal ones, like, and usually if you have one of them, you're absolutely floored. And she had people round and they had like 2 or 3 Irish coffees and were feeling grand. And it turned out that they'd been drinking from a stunt bottle of Powers that was sitting in the cupboard.
Amazing.
With
and then
food colouring and all in it to make it look authentico.
And then at like 3 a.m, whenever I'd gone to bed and Joe and a few of the lads were still up, a big bat flew into the room.
Oh, I saw the footage of that. Yeah, that's class. Yeah.
I was sleeping in.
Joe called it a fucking cunt. Well, no, bleep that if that causes issues with your podcast.
Okay.
Well, John was sleeping upstairs and Kieran was sleeping on the sofa, and they were totally oblivious to it. And me and Emmett and Domo, who are the usual 4 a.m. people, were sitting about. And anyway, this thing came in and started flapping about, as they tend to do. But we'll get to that later. We have a song all about that, so we can talk about bats plenty.
Quite important for the album, yeah.
And Joe, much debate over this being the single, lads.
There was quite a bit of debate. We wanted Egyptron to be the first single.
Okay.
And the label weren't interested as the first single. They said it was too long.
Okay.
So we kind of went, right, okay, well, Speed Funeral, you know, it's very much in the vein of stuff that we do. I think it could easily be on Speed Between the Lines.
Okay.
So I think, it's catchy and it was out there and it's giving people what they expect. So I think that's good. No shame in it whatsoever, you know. And I think the video, we can really
justify it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, Secular Saw. Here we go.
It's that hoodoo that you do that leads you to cry. Dismantle your deity with a secular.
Another one of my favorites.
Is on line 2.
That's just a great song again. Fucking hell. I've just great memories of that again at a certain point of the beach walk and just laughing at that. You know, I love Fate No More, and your vocals there remind me a bit of Mike Patton. I don't know if you wear that or not.
I mean, me and Domo call this the patitude, and you give it a bit of patitude. So it's kind of something that we started doing an album or two back, where we kind of realized that bit of the register was there and you could make it sound like Mike Patton. I think my children are screaming in the background, which should add a heavy metal element to the atmosphere. But yeah, like I think with that tune particularly, we wanted to lean into it and make the chorus like it's one of my favorite tunes in the album. I think like the topic it's about is great. The title is really funny, and I like how catchy the chorus is. You know, when I woke up one morning and the word Secular Saw just popped into my head, and I was like, Jesus. Like, right, so we'll take that and we'll make that into a song. But when I was writing it, it was like the problem with a lot of heavy metal tunes that are anti-religion or pro-atheism is that they tend to give grief to the believer. They tend to be about, you're a sheep, you're this. I'm sure,
Okay.
what do you call that Polish band where the guy looks like a bird shit, Nurgle, whatever that is. Like they probably have like 300 songs where it's like, you believe in God or whatever. I was like, well, if you were trying to convince people to not do it, giving them shit probably isn't a good way to do it. So this song's like really positive, and it's like, look, if you believe in God, it's not actually your fault. Somebody just told you it was real when you were 3. So now you can just stop. So that's the whole idea of the secular saw. Like use rationality and common sense to cut that off your life, if you want, or you know, continue to labor under the false apprehension that the universe has meaning.
There's some fantastic riffage in it as well, John.
I was trying to the intro has a harmony bit, and I was ripping off Blind Guardian. Wanted that kind of harmony thing. We never do that. We never really do that Galpin riff as much, so I was kind of like, okay, let's do that. And I just wrote the riffs and I gave it to Domo and he programmed the drums on it. I didn't have
anything to add to it, Joe?
Brilliant riffs. You know, this was one of the ones that probably had a wee bit more of a difficult birth because, you know, sometimes whenever John will bring a tune to the band, it can require like a bit of arranging and stuff like that. So I think I had a go at it and Domo had a go at it at the same time to see what was working and what was not. But I think like JR, like the chorus and the intro and maybe even the pre-chorus were all kind of there in your original demo, weren't they?
Yeah, they're all in the demo. The demo was very close, I think, in terms of having those like the cool chorus idea and stuff was all there from the off. It's
definitely one of my favorite tunes on this record anyway. Like, you know, it has that. There was room to put like a bit of a kind of chorusy thing on the bass because like originally me and Domo were thinking it needed to have that like bomb, 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 but it needs that kind of more fill in the kind of
it's
thing.
Quite, the bass playing on it's quite big haired and sexy. Go. It's quite like
the verses and the guitar solo were the worst riffs to record in the album because they're all, as John will tell you, in that sort of tight kind of rhythm, like, you know.
Oh, right, okay.
And the drumming as well.
It wasn't. It was. I suppose doing the Mike Patton, the Patitude stuff is not mad easy. You know, it's kind of hard. He sings very hard. You know. But it's one of my favorites. I'd love to play it live.
Okay, final track. Bats in Your Hair.
Emotional, man. It's sexy. What's wrong with being sexy? You know.
I was hoping, right, and this is no word of a lie. I was hoping, and this is fucking gospel true. I was walking along, going, imagine if they just did "The Heat Is On" at the end, and I shit you not, and it's literally the last fucking 3 or 4 seconds, and I went, what? Oh my God, Jesus Christ! I'm like a madman. And like at that stage of the walk, like it was in the middle of the town. I was just going, what? Oh my God, Jesus Christ! Like a madman, fucking in the middle of nowhere. What? He's doing
amazing, it. It's the last like 3 seconds of the whole album. It's
it used to be like in the demo there was absolutely ridiculous lyrics over this end bit that were just
Oh
It's
man,
kind of
yeah.
like, you know, James Brown type thing, as in naming a load of places that began with a B.
And we were like, it was meant to be like Doc and, oh, you know I love you. It was all like, girl, girl. I'm actually quite proud to say now that's the first riff I wrote that ever made it onto a Gama Bomb album.
Ah,
Yep.
class.
There you go. That's my riff there. And I'll see you in court. Yeah,
And I
so
love that. That's the section why I wanted to. Not only was it the saxophone as well, but that's just pure kind of fucking 80s trash chanting. There are, and then the next one, bats.
well, I'll tell
There
you
are
what.
bats in,
Yeah.
and I was just cracking up laughing at that.
Well,
Just
man,
such great
we
parody, like.
we went to Domo's house, and I was smoking at the time, and we smoked a couple of joints, and Jesus, we're in like Domo's wee studio in his gaff, like, and we're having a can and smoking a couple of joints, and we were really stoned, and we're giggling. You know, like when you're like 15 and you get stoned, and you like you start giggling. Like we were like giggling our ass off, and we had the guitars, and we're like passing, we're like bats. We had that riff, and we had a couple other riffs that were total nonsense, and then I did that end one. And when we were doing that, we're like, well, we should spell out the entire sentence in gang shouts. You know, and I think like we were like crying, laughing, recording it. There's a demo somewhere of it. We also recorded a rap song that will never be released.
Fucking hell.
The Gama Bomb rap.
Yeah.
If it's good enough for Wham, it's good enough.
But
For
it's
the
the
riff Ola
perfect.
though was quite Judas Priesty though, John, wasn't it? Like there was definitely, or is it more kind of, I don't know, power metal-y or something like that? I don't know.
Power metal, I
Like,
would say, yeah.
Gama Bomb rap or what?
no, the riffs for Bats in Your Hair, the chorus and the pre-chorus and all.
Well, it's real priest, like it's real Judas Priesty.
It is power metal, so yeah, I agree. Yeah. And
Like
it's the perfect song to end the fucking album as well. Like
It's the
just
perfect song.
It is. You're left wanting more, you know. You feel that you had the crack with the lads, you listen to all their songs, but here you are laughing like a madman along to the last song of the album, which you should be like, you know, and
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
good.
fucking perfect the way it just fits in all together, book closed, and you're wanting more. You're looking
Yeah,
forward to
and-
the next album. Like.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. I think it's the first album where we tried to approach it without any ego in what songs went on the album. Nobody was like, I want mine on. Or when we did say that, we just shut it down because the point was to just assemble the music for what worked for the music.
Mhm.
And I think Domo was a real enforcer on that. You know, like everyone would turn around and go, what about this tune? And he would go, yeah, but that's you choosing a tune. So there was just kind of a centralized list thrown together for what worked musically. I think Domo kind of decided really, but it made sense for him to decide because he didn't really care, you know. And he ended up putting tunes on it that he was like, I don't like this tune, but it makes sense. So, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, so like it's a good album. I hope people like it.
It's not a good album. It's a fucking brilliant album, and it's standing on the shoulders of
No.
all the rest of them. You know what I mean? So it's, and like when people that have listened to Sea Savage and it's a natural progression onto that, and it's you flexing your muscles to say, look, this is what we are now. We've arrived at this point. Respect our fucking choices of songs, because this is what Gama Bomb are in 2023, and it's it's a brilliant album, lads.
Thank you so much. That's very
Credit
kind
to
of
you.
you. I feel like we've definitely arrived at a point now where we're very comfortable with doing our own thing, and our own thing is quite distinctive now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, hopefully I think people who dig us will get what we're doing here. The fact that you can go online and go, our mascot has died, and like 500 people leap in immediately pretending that he's dead.
Yeah.
Is a really good sign for this record. You know,
Yes.
those people are not going to be horrified by the sax solo.
Yeah, and I can't wait now just to even figure out what songs are going to make the tour. 29th is the big one for all of us, the Siege of Limerick.
Yeah.
So just
rocking.
Yeah. cannot wait for that. So
Can't
that's it, lads. Thanks a million for taking the time to join me on the show and go through all this. I really appreciate it,
Rich.
wait.
and I
Richie,
appreciate
you've
you.
been very kind. You've been very kind.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I suppose maybe am I probably one of the few that you've have feedback from outside of friends? and
Yeah,
stuff?
you're like virtually none really. You're the
Yeah, that's
I
good
did
then.
I did an interview with Metal Hammer Germany, and the guy, like, he had listened to the album and he was a smart dude. He had smart things to say about it. He didn't give me really any opinion. He was just like, yes, it's good, you know. He didn't necessarily like he didn't go into detail. Whereas, thank you very much. I think it's been actually quite heartening to hear that not only did you enjoy the music, but that it actually had some resonance for you, because that's what you want, isn't it? Like, you know, you want people to tie it to a moment or to an experience or to a feeling that they have. Like all the best records in my life, I can say, oh, I was sitting there and I was doing this, I was with them and this was going on. So that's what you want, isn't it, lads? In it.
Indeed. Absolutely.
Indeed,
But no, absolutely looking forward to getting to Limerick and having a couple of pints and stuff. And we've a bunch more Irish gigs coming up at the start of next year, and a European tour and some other ballocks. So
Are those Irish gigs announced? I don't remember.
We're going to do a European tour next spring, but we haven't announced it yet. One of the gigs came out today. One of the
But is the Irish gigs announced?
Yeah.
Belfast and Dublin are announced. There's not a couple of ones to announce after that as well.
We're going to do
with Party Cannon, which I saw on last Friday, and they were killer. They played in Hackney.
Okay. Party Cannon.
Lovely.
They're good lads, and it's a different thing. You know, they're like death metal or whatever. You know, so.
Slam. Really cool.
And lads, as always, congratulations on your merch as well. It's outstanding. Hit up Gama Bomb's socials. You'll see all the merch there. There's probably a pre-order running for the album.
Yeah, and if you go to our European merch store at O-Merch, you can order the exclusive gold vinyl.
Oh,
or if
there
you
you go.
catch us on tour this UK and Ireland tour with the Siege of Limerick, we'll have our gold vinyl with us. The only place we can get it.
Yeah, I'm going to buy a shit ton of merch off you in the Siege of Limerick. So
I hope
Bats by Gama Bomb is coming out on November the 10th on Prosthetic Records. Congratulations again, lads. It's a fantastic album. It's my favorite one of yours so far. And, you know,
you're a kind man, Rich.
You notice that I said so far because there's another one coming, and that's just really heartening to hear.
I keep saying that I want to call the next album Cats, right? And the cover should be exactly the cover of Bats, but with sellotaped on cat faces over all the bats.
Why not?
And a big C taped over the B and bats. It's cost effective, you know? Cost effective brand building. That's what's up. But thanks so much, Richie. You're a star.
Brilliant. Thanks again, lads. Take care. And always support your local metal scene.
Thank you so much.